The island's sinister secret. The island, a paradise of white sands and crystal-clear waters, was known as Honeymoon Isle. Every year, young couples flocked to its shores, drawn by its romantic allure and the legend of eternal love said to bless those who stayed there. But beneath the gentle hum of the waves and the golden sunsets, something sinister lurked. Jack and Lila arrived on a misty afternoon, their laughter mingling with the cries of seabirds as they disembarked from the small ferry. They were the only passengers, save for the ferryman, whose weathered face darkened as he handed them their bags. "Be careful," he muttered, eyes darting toward the dense jungle that framed the resort. Lila laughed nervously. "Careful of what?" "The island remembers," he said cryptically, turning away before they could press further. They dismissed his words as a local superstition and settled into their beachfront cabin, its wide windows overlooking the turquoise sea. As the sun dipped below the horizon, painting the sky in shades of amber and crimson, Jack lit a fire in the outdoor pit. They toasted marshmallows, shared stories, and basked in the warmth of each other's company. The first sign of unease came with the darkness. Lila thought she heard footsteps crunching in the sand just beyond the glow of their fire. She turned her head sharply, but there was nothing there, only the rhythmic lapping of the waves and the sway of palm fronds in the breeze. "Did you hear that?" she whispered. Jack paused, straining his ears. "Probably just the wind," he said, though his voice carried an edge of uncertainty. They retreated inside, locking the doors behind them. The cabin felt smaller in the dark, its cozy charm now oppressive. Outside, the jungle seemed to press closer, the shadows growing deeper as the moon rose. That night, Lila woke to the sound of whispering. It was faint like the rustle of leaves, but unmistakably human. She shook Jack awake, her heart pounding. "Someone's out there," she said. Jack grabbed a flashlight and moved to the window. He scanned the beach, the beam slicing through the darkness, but it revealed only the empty shore. He turned to reassure Lila when the light flickered, just for a moment, over a figure standing at the edge of the tree line. A man. His face was obscured by shadows, but his posture was rigid, his head tilted as if listening. Jack's breath caught in his throat. The man didn't move, didn't flinch under the glare of the light. He simply stood there, watching. Jack backed away, pulling the curtains shut. "We need to go," he whispered, his voice trembling. But when they tried the front door, it wouldn't budge. The lock was jammed, the key twisted and useless. The windows, too, wouldn't open, as if sealed shut by an unseen force. "We're trapped," Lila said, her voice rising in panic. A loud knock echoed through the cabin, followed by the slow, deliberate creak of footsteps on the porch. Jack grabbed a poker from the fireplace, his hands slick with sweat. "Who's there?" he shouted. Silence. Then, the door creaked open, though it had been locked moments before. The man stepped inside, his face finally illuminated. He wore a mask made of bone, the hollow eye sockets empty and cold. In his hand, he held a blade, its edge glinting in the firelight. "You shouldn't have come here," the man said, his voice low and gravelly. "The island remembers." He lunged, and chaos erupted. Jack fought with everything he had, the poker clashing against the man's blade. Lila screamed, grabbing anything she could to defend herself. As Jack fell to the ground, blood pooling beneath him, Lila managed to break free. She ran toward the jungle, her breaths ragged and her legs trembling. The island seemed to shift around her, the familiar path to the ferry, now a labyrinth of vines and shadows. Behind her, the whispers grew louder. "The island remembers," they chanted, a chilling chorus carried on the wind. Lila stumbled onto the beach, Just as the first light of dawn broke over the horizon, the fairy was gone. She turned back toward the jungle, her eyes wide with terror. The man stood there, his mask glinting in the sunlight. He raised a hand in a mock salute before vanishing into the trees. When the ferryman returned that afternoon, he found only a single wedding ring buried in the sand. Thanks for subscribing and helping our channel grow.